What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in here live on Beaufort Zone as we get ready to go underway for another region volleyball contest. Back at Bluffton High School again, this time hosting the May River Sharks from across the way. Just about around the corner. School split a couple of years ago, and now they're getting ready to go and win heated rivalry in another sport here, May River versus Bluffton here in high school volleyball here. Both of these teams in the same region, both of these teams in the middle of the pack, 2-2, looking to separate. Nobody wants that third. That third loss going to be harder to climb up and fight for that first spot. Bishop England has so far swept the competition, only dropping one set, 4-0 at the top. And Beaufort coming in, surprising everybody, 3-1 so far here in the first half of the region slate. They're sitting at two. Both of these teams here tonight, 2-2, Bluffton and May River, looking to avoid that third loss. So the name of the game here tonight, talk about all the numbers, we can talk about all the stats, talk about what you would like to see from players. Name of the game here tonight, get a win. And that's what both of these teams here are going to be scheduled to do. Just a reminder, my name is Javon Livingston. I'll be your do-it-all guy tonight. I'll be your commentator, your color, your play-by-play. I'll be your camera person, your scoreboard operator, graphics, it all. Clark on the first serve of the night and into the net. May River going to go on the board first. Due to a serving error. And there's Ariel Rick for May River getting ready to serve, and she can go on a run, a rotation of points, and she grabs the ace there. You know, I don't care how many times I say it, man. Trying to play a volleyball off of the net is a dangerous position to be in. Quick tip and over, and Bluffton gets their first point of the night. Calzadia on the serve. Duncan pops that up. Rick goes to Skirtich on the outside, tried to play it tight to the line. Going to land out, it evens it up. Looks the same as everybody's record here tonight, 2-2. Vivas on the serve. Rick diving on the court. Skirtich from the back row. Clark goes to Smith. Smith, strong hit there. Like to see that from her tonight. Nice save right there on the dig by Harden. Clark backside goes to Walsh. And then down in the middle, I believe that was Sonogi that was trying to get that one. Get the kill there, and that's going to be out. And that gives Bluffton a lead 3-2. Tied record here in region, but in the top 25 ranking, separated by 10 spots, 16 to 6 there. May River still staying in that top 10, but after that loss to Beaufort, vaulted Beaufort up into the top 10. Bluffton kind of staying pat there in the middle of those teams right there at 16. Backside, back to Walsh. Skirtich pops that one up. Rick goes to the outside to Duncan. She's able to get over to Clark with the dump and scores. And if you're watching here tonight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and most likely share. Help us get those views up for the volleyball. These girls are out here playing hard, and this is one of the toughest regions, believe it or not. What do you think of the records? If you look at their schedules and who they've been playing, and you look at the strength of schedules for both teams, got to keep up with the points here if I'm talking about getting viewers. 4-3 Bluffton with the lead. Serving is now May River. Duncan back to serve. But this is one of the toughest regions in 4A. Both of these teams with double-digit strength of schedules. All other teams are single digits. There's about two other teams in the state that have strength of schedule as hard as the teams here in this region here, 8-4A. Now Bluffton starting to surge ahead there. They've got a 2-point lead now. Trying to keep it going. Quick tip by Smith. Nice hands on the defense. Rick and Sonogi. Smith floats that one over. Skirtich on the dig to the younger Skirtich, and then Rick sails one out of bounds. And the largest lead of the night is now 3. Outside, Rick fires, won't miss that time. Beautiful set, Rick to Rick on the connection and down to the court right outside the three-point line there. If this was a basketball court, let's pretend it's not. It's a volleyball court tonight. 6-4, Walsh floats that one. Nice save there. Rick to Rick, both going underhand there. Jones quickly sends that one over. Skirted, short tip, and she grabs a kill. Breaks this game back within 1. Clark inside, Jones. Nice serve there. Skirtage, Rick to Rick. That one tips over the net. Waddell pops that one up in the air. Clark hits one over. I believe that was her first hit of the night so far. Folded to the back row. Everybody's one-handed. A little bit of a scorpion there from Walsh. To try to save that one, but can't get it. Waddell. And that'll make it 6-7. Kozak on the serve. Folder in the air. Waddell to Smith. Try to get a little direction on there. Nice defense. And the inside, that one's going to be into the net, number 8 for Bluffton. Francis Scotty trying to send home a banger. Can't get that one. They go outside that time. Waddell pops it up in the air. Clark outside. Calzadilla, the block is there. On the outside, going back to her soft touch this time, grabs the kill. A nice change of pace. She goes up with the power the first time. They come right back to her, and this time a little bit of a floater, just enough to get over the block. That one tips over the net. Apologize, coming back late from the replay, but that's going to be an ace for Miss Maya Smith. On another serve. Skirtage, Francis Scotty tries to get another one down in the middle of the logo. Jones is there, she's good, tips that one back down. And Miss Jeanette Jones playing tough at the front of the net. And a timeout is going to be called by Coach Hedrick. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break. First one of the set, first one of the night for May River. We'll take a break, we'll be right back. After the timeout break, Maya Smith on the serve. Rick sends one across. And grabs a kill for the Lady Sharks, and that's what you want to see out of the timeout break. Get that first point. At least something you said goes in your favor right there, making adjustments. And a little pep talk from Coach Hedrick. And the first one on the board, Rick on the serve. Calzadilla on the dig and got the hit there. No kill though. Defense is there. They go to Duncan. Duncan, a little bit soft. She got power, and she has power in her arm too, but soft touch there. They go outside to Duncan there. Time goes a little bit of power. Smith pops that up. Waddell, Calzadilla. They go to Duncan, does May River, and that's going to be outside the line. And Bluffton keeps the lead at 5, 12-7. Folder on the serve. Duncan sends it right back, and Folder couldn't get back in position to get the dig there. Kill for Duncan. Going cross court with it. 8-12. Still a 4-point game. Or match, should I say. Volleyball match. Francis Scotty. Defense up front for May River. Nice play coming back. Sonogi almost got a kill there. Great defense from the Lady Bobcats there. And they're going to grab what? And the kill as well. They get the point, and the defense pays off for the Lady Bobcats there. Nice work. And tough defense right there by the net. As always, hard to play off the net, and they're able to get it done there. Clark. Strong kill outside. Duncan. Substitution. Rick and Skirtage come in. Jensen Skirtage. That's Emerson. That's the libero, whichever pronunciation you prefer. But she's got the blue jersey on. Skirtage and Harden almost getting tied up there. They go back to Duncan and airmail. Lead back to 5. Calzadilla on the serve. Rick getting tied up at the net. And they're going to redo the point, and I guess that was a bad call on the ref. She admitted she made a mistake there. You see her put her head down, and I'm not upset at that. I wish more referees would do that, not to the point where it disrupts the game. You don't want them making a lot of mistakes. You want them to be confident in their calls and make the right calls pretty much 100% of the time, a 99.9 there. But they replay the point, and this time it goes to Bluffton. And not to mention, I didn't grab her name, but we talked a little bit before. It was her and another referees. Both of them are new referees, and they're trying to find more referees for volleyball here in South Carolina. It's tough to get the referees, and the referees get stretched out thin trying to get matches. And so they're finding more. So a lot of new faces that I've seen this season, on the stand in volleyball this season. So, and she's one of those faces. I've seen about 3 or 4, I think, new faces in volleyball so far this season take the stand. So Duncan on the serve. Cross court, they go to Smith, block, Folder pops it up. And May River still fighting, but can't close the lead other than the 4-point disadvantage that they got when May River went on that first run. Bluffton went on that first run. Game's pretty much been nip-tuck, but they got to close that gap. Trading points when you're down 4 is not in your favor. That one goes out. That helps. Brings the set back within 3. Duncan sends one over. Clark gets the dig. Sets it outside. Smith blocked up front. It's Skirtage and Sonogi. Duncan once again on the serve. Clark sets outside to Smith. Blocked again. Skirtage and Shinogi only on the outside, doing a good job covering Smith. And then Jensen Skirtage tried to send that over to security there. Dial it back a little bit, Jensen. Let's dig there. They go to Rick, the block, and this time it's the Bobcats. And that's Jones and Walsh on the outside. Rick, soft touch that time. They go back to Walsh on the outside, gets across the block, tips off the hands of Sonogi and Rick, and down to the court. Bluffton, strong performance here, set number 1. They're up by 5, and they're maintaining that lead. Nice serve by Cox. They go to Rick with a misdirection with her and Sonogi there, but defense played well by the Bobcats. Smith pushes one over. Clark, Cox. Jones sends one over. Smith taps that one. No one there to react to it for touches 2 and 3. And that's going to land on the court in favor of May River. Still fighting the deficit. Clark the set. Walsh sends it over on the hit. Skirtage is there. It's Emerson now. Jensen sends that one over. Smith powers one another once again. Rick just saves that one. Nice play to get that around the net. Clark Jones, quick hands. Defense can't rally, and a kill for Jeanette Jones. I had enough time for a replay there. Could have queued up Jeanette Jones there, man. When I talk about quick hands, the way she hit that ball, it wasn't even power, it was just a quick directional shot. She found the hole and just tapped it there really, really fast as it was sitting right above the net. There's Rick looking for some power. Nice defense. Smith gets that one in the air. They're going to reward her, give it right back to her, and get the kill. And look at that. Gets the dig, pops that one up off target. The reward. Nice job right there by Waddell getting it back to her. And Maya Smith. Nice line serve there by Kozak. Another serve, trying to get ace number 2. Clark on the hit. The block is out of bounds. Point for the Bobcats. 21. Smith done a great job tonight on the serve. There's Rick. That time, that one skips off the block. Bring up 17. Four for the tie, but 4 for the Bobcats to win. Switching sides, changing direction, trying to catch the defense off guard. Nice maneuver there by Rick. And Sam Calzadia tries to fire one in there hard, but just a little bit too low on the trajectory there. It fires into the net. A little bit of miscommunication almost cost them there. Calzadia powers another one. The block is there. The outside, Francis Scotty in crew. That one tipped over. Kozak pops one in the air. Duncan goes underhand on the hit just to make it across the net. Clark flat-footed. Back to Kozak. Rick up in the air. Soft touch, Foda dives after Macy tosses it over. Smith grabs another kill. Maya Smith have a set, ladies and gentlemen. And she's on fire tonight. You know, I talked about in that game, in that match with Bishop England, you know, I saw a little bit in Maya Smith, and I talked about it. And you know, they wound up losing, you know, that game. And, you know, like I said, Bishop England, we know what they are and what they stand for, you know, in volleyball in South Carolina. But Maya Smith, she showed a lot of promise, and you know, it seemed like she was a little bit rough around the edges. And I said, hey, if she could just get that accuracy and that power, you know, down, she will be a threat. And here tonight, a different player, and she could have been off her game a little bit. Sometimes every game isn't your best game. But tonight, Smith, those hits have been inside that green line, and she has been knocking them down. Set point here for the Bluffton Lady Bobcats. One more, and they take home set number one. Best 3 out of 5 here tonight for region play. And they almost ended it with the ace there. Foda back up Waddell. Calzadia to the back corner. Skirtage can't get to it, and that's going to be 25. And the Bobcats win set number one, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a break. We'll be right back here on Beaufort's Own. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, in for set number 2. Lady Bobcats took the first one. Ariel Rick on the serve to start us off tonight. They're going to need a rotational points from her and Calzadia. Vivas shoots that one, fires it too far. First points on the board are going to go to the May River Lady Sharks here in set number 2. We had a new viewer, speaking of Rick, there behind the line. Tang Bang in the comments there, rooting on the twins, Ariel and Aurora Rick. Here in the comments, watching all the way from California. Always love those long distance viewers. I'm always surprised where people are watching from. Keeping it alive, Rick to Skirtage. Smith pops that one in the air. Clark tries to dump one. Rick to Rick here on the connection. They get it to Palmer. The block still lands on the Bobcat side there. It's Wash, opposite corner. Skirtage to Rick, tries to send the dump back over. She's already got highlights of that this season. And they're going to outside to Jensen. Skirtage and hits that back corner. A little bit of a long volley there for point number 2. And that's kind of what I've been expecting to see, because both of these teams, defensively are pretty good, just trying to find their, their consistent hitters and, who they're going to feed the ball to get those tough points, that can't be stopped. And Walsh tried to get one in the block. Sonogi and Skirtage on the outside. And the Lady Bobcats on a roll, 3-0. Rick on the serve. Smith the dig. Clark the set. Calzadia on the hit there for the Lady Bobcats. Rick sets it over to Palmer and going to be called out. And the Lady Bobcats grab their first point of this set. Still down by 2, 3-1. Lady Sharks with the lead. Calzadia Vivas on the serve. Skirtage the dig. Ariel Rick with a Palmer. And a little miscommunication. Walsh slips there. And May River grabs number 4. Substitution, Cox and Gutierrez on to the court for the Lady Bobcats. Treywick on the serve. Smith tries to send one in the middle. Sonogi and Skirtage with another block. Treywick. Cox, backside to Walsh. Rick was there. Ricochets off the block, though. However, ends up with the kill for the Lady Bobcats. Cox on the serve. Treywick. A little bit of miscommunication there. Tried to go with her palms there instead of going underhand. That time she gets it there, and a little bit of target there in the back row. Can't get that with another ace for the Lady Bobcats. And Treywick gets it that time. Rick sneaks one over down that left side. Jones backwards hits that one over. Inside misdirection and the kill. Jensen Skirtage. And that one almost fooled me. Her and Sonogi going up at the same time. Glad for volleyball we go with the wide angle. I can't really call this wide. It's pretty close for volleyball. And that one goes off the arms of Skirtage. Almost messes that one up. Had a chance to get it over. That time Treywick and Francis Scotty both going for it there. Waddell on the serve. Skirtage pops that one up. Rick to Rick. Clark is there for the block. Skirtage goes back to Rick. Waddell in the air. Folder the set. Clark the hit. Tips over the net. Treywick the dig. Skirtage. Defense is there. That's Smith and Jones. Jones back to the ground. Defense. Skirtage. Gutierrez in the back row on the dig. They go to Jones, the block up front. Francis, Scotty, and Rick. You want to talk about a long volley there. Nice serve by Kozak. Gutierrez handles it. Diving in was Waddell, keeps it alive. Nice job by them. That deserves to be on the highlight just for the save, even though it doesn't end, might not end in points. We'll see what happens here at the end of the set. Folder, excuse me, this volley. Clark sends one over. They go to Rick on the outside to block Jones and Clark, and it does end in points. So Waddell's effort ends up paying off as they get the kill on the outside, and that's why you got to leave it all out there for your team. And these girls, like I said, this is high-level volleyball here in this region. You know, high school volleyball is very high-level volleyball. Like I said, these teams playing competitive schedules. They're competing. All of these teams have an opportunity to make a decent playoff run. The only thing I don't like is I don't like the new playoff format. You know, they went against, you know, teams, lower-seeded teams having to travel, you know, 2-3 hours just to get blown out. And, you know, because they go and play the top seed, and I understand that. But all of these teams here in this region are some of the best teams in the state, and they all have to play each other, you know, for region 2 times. And then when they go to the playoffs, and in the first or second round, they have to play each other again already. And it's like you just played each other, you know? So you never wind up in a situation where, you know, 2 of the best teams, you know, that might come from the same region, you know, they're on different sides of the bracket. Sometimes they wind up on the same side, and, you know, they got to play each other right over, and they got to take each other out instead of both being in the lower state championship. Clark on the hit. Harden set. And the kill falls down to the court. I don't think she was expecting it, but Ella Hersey. Francis Scotty walking up to the line for the serve. Smith the dig. Waddell. Quick tip back and forth. And Sonogi gets the win at the net. Clark, soft touch, tried to go right on the line, just out. Or they're going to call it touch. I apologize. I didn't see a touch there, my bad. Might have missed it, but 8-10. Clark now on the serve. Set, Sonogi. Sends one over the head of Clark, pops it up. Smith keeps it in play. Nice work by her to get it to Folder. Palmer going back to Folder. Folder gets it behind the stand, tried to save it. And that's going to be a kill for Palmer. So Kozak and Hersey out. Ariel, Rick, and Skirtich in. Jensen Skirtich. Emerson was already on the court. The libero, Rick. And tried to get it there from an awkward angle was Walsh. Can't get it. Ace for Rick. Rick on the serve. Smith doing a good job in that back row for the Lady Bobcats. To the back corner. Tried to go. Skirtich was there. Walsh into the arms of Harden. Nice way to pop that up. Back row. Nobody home. Calzadilla grabs an ace, and that tips right off the arms of Harden there. Just, woo, a little bit too slow. Excuse me, that wasn't Harden. That was Palmer. Apologize. Another serve. There goes Harden. Harden sends that back over back. Quick shot there. Nice hands there by Skirtage to keep it in play. Clark on the set, going to Smith. Trying to go off the ricochet. Palmer gets it over last second. Last second hands dropping to a knee. It was Clark there to keep it alive for the Lady Bobcats. Smith sends it over. Harden goes backside to Palmer. Palmer fires. Going to be out. They're called touch off the fingertips there. And they're going to say no touch. Let's see the call we got here. See, this gets played back again. And I didn't. Maybe over the net there. I think off of the block. Maybe they call a touch there, but 13-10. Treywick back in, her serve into the net. Jam in two. Cox on the serve, goes to Treywick, can't get to the corner. Game within one, excuse me, match within one. Set within one. And Skirtage, her hit, tried to go flat-footed, goes into the net. Set tied here at 13. Opportunity for the lead. Bailey Cox going back to serve. Rick fires and keeps the lead for the May River Sharks. Skirtage. And Smith that time can't make the play off of the net. Lady Sharks going to back up by 2. Skirtage sends one towards the back line there. Folda pops it up. There goes Walsh. And Walsh gets the kill off the arm of Skirtage. Waddell, that was on the serve. That one played right on the line. Close call there. Nice work by Skirtage, just touching the line. (16-14). Kozak on the serve. Gutierrez gets that one low to Walsh. The block by Francis Scotty. And that one had a strong ricochet there. Maya Smith trying to send some heat, but Francis Scotty was there on the defense. And Waddell last second tried to save it. Folder tried to send it over. May River getting the lead back up to 4 and a timeout here with Coach Armstead. And we'll take a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, from the timeout break. Bobcats taking a break to talk some things over as they got the game back to within one, actually tied the game, and then now back into a 4-point hole. And Rick tried to send that one over on the hit, but too far out of bounds. And so far, both teams tonight have gotten a point coming out of the timeout break. So timeout breaks used properly there by both coaches here tonight, Coach Hedrick and Coach Umstead. Francis Scotty trying to play it off the net. Skirtich keeps it alive there. Nice work. A block. Jones. They go to Calzadilla on the outside. That's going to be way out there to the left. And there goes Aurora Rick getting ready to serve. KT Tape on the knee there. Sends it over to Smith. Jones. That's the direction. The defense is there. Francis Scotty gets a piece of that. Clark over the crowd there into the arms of Skirtich. There's Palmer. She's got a couple kills tonight. Smith, back row, had an amazing first set. It's been quiet kind of since. Palmer feeds her again. That one goes into the arms of Folda. Calzadilla, power, defense there. That's Hersey and Francis Scotty. Oh, excuse me, they're going to call that out. I think they call a violation there. I apologize. So 16-19. Apologize there. So 2016. Francis Scotty on the serve. Clark coming down from down low on the hit there. They try to go back to Palmer, trying to work her into the rotation here tonight. Francis Scotty can't get to the back corner. Clark on the serve. Kozak sets backside to Hersey, and Hersey with the kill. Ariel Rick subbing in now behind the lines. Usually when she comes in the rotation, her turn to serve. Walsh tips one. Skirtich pops it up. Harden over the head there, keeps that one alive. Backside Calzadilla. And man, you want to talk about some fire coming off the arm there. Samantha Calzadilla down to the hardwood. Serve by Calzadilla. Rick on the dig. Palmer on the hit there. Harden pops that one up. Rick the set. Francis Scott, Sanogi gets the quick kill in the middle. 22-18. Harden and Rick on the sub. Palmer and Treywick sub as well. Cox and Gutierrez in for Calzadilla and Jones. And they're talking some things over. Looks like Coach Hedrick and the ref. Some rotation questions, I think. 22-18, there's the whistle. Treywick on the serve. Sends that one over to Gutierrez. pops it up. Cox, Smith on the outside. Treywick gets the dig for the Lady Sharks. They go to Rick, and that one's going to be touched. And a kill for the Lady Sharks. 23-18. Skirtage. Dig. Rick pushes to the outside to Aurora. Rick. Block up front. Jones and Walsh. This time Skirtage sends it over with two hands. Gutierrez. The Cox. Jones to the right side. Grabs the kill. And miscommunication for number 24 as everybody's feet was dead in the water there for the Lady Bobcats defense. And you see the dump, quick dump by Rick, and everybody's there. And looking for the win here in set number 2. Skirtage's serve goes into the net. Keeps hope alive for the Lady Bobcats. Walsh out, Waddell in. Waddell on the serve. Treywick pops it up. Skirtage saves. Rick sends it over backward. Waddell outside. Smith ricochets off the defense. They go back to Rick off the fingertips of the block, and that's number 25. And May River will win set number 2. Evens it up here 1-1, ladies and gentlemen, when we return here on Beaufort's Own. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here live on Beaufort. Once again, my name is Javon Livingston, and your sponsor for tonight's coverage is BCTV. Amelia Clark on the serve to open it up here for the Lady Bobcats, and Sam Calzadia tries to hit one over and runs into the defense there. That's Sanogi and Duncan that was there on the outside, but lands out of bounds, so it's going to be a point for the Lady Bobcats. And looks like we got a chance for an ace here by Clark. Nice defense there, rallying back, and Duncan sends that one over overhead from almost out of bounds to the other side of the net to keep it alive there. Calzadia, strong hit, popped up. Once again, great defense, rallying from far away. Goes the Sharks. And they grab their first point. Rick on the serve. Aerial Rick. And the defense up front again. Sanogi and Skirtich. Underhand goes Clark. Skirtich coming in. And there goes Duncan and falls right onto the hardwood right next to Folda. Rick on the serve. Smith Clark to Calzadia. And they're going to call an error. Say her foot was over the line. So that's going to be number 4 for May River. They go up 4-1. A lead here. Set number 3. Rick sends another into the arms of Smith, and a huge error there. Miscommunication. Anna Marie Mateo into the set there. Her and Walsh a little bit confused on whose responsibility that was there. 5-1. Another 4-point hole. Rick. Walsh this time fires. The defense is there. That's going to be out. Another block for Sanoki. I apologize. They actually awarded that to, a little late on the signals there. 5-2 here. They awarded that to the Lady Bobcats. Duncan, and that's going to be way out. And Calzadia gets the ace. Was that one just skips across the top of the Sharks defense there. Calzadia floats one. Skirtich comes up for it. Rick in on the outside. That Jensen Skirtich hopping up in the air there for the Lady Sharks. And Rick into the match. Walsh outside. Aerial Rick on the dig. Duncan goes to Skirtich. The block is there. Smith. Backside. Duncan sets it over to Rick and bounces off with 2 defenders there and to the court. 7-4 we go. And Duncan Her serve into the net brings this set back within 2. Return service back to the Lady Bobcats. That's Cox. Sending that one over at the wrong altitude, giving a point to the Lady Sharks, 8-5. Emerson Skirtich on the serve into the arms of Smith. Smith once again getting the dig and the kill. They go outside to Aurora. Rick powers one. Smith pops that one up in the air. Gets the dig. Jones backwards over. Rick to Francis Scotty. The block to the left side, and Waddell couldn't get to it. 9-6. And I think what's really been unprecedented here tonight is, Maya Smith, even though they're down in this set, this match is tied 1-1, so it's still anybody's, match here tonight. But Maya Smith, she's been really good. You want to talk about on the backside, and, the libero is Foda. But, man, in that back row, what I've been seeing from Maya Smith tonight has been really great. And when you're trying to identify players and who's the lead player on the team, who they're looking, to make, the most plays. And, I saw Sam Calzadia, last year, and, for the Bobcats, and, finding out she was a freshman, and I was like, man, she's going to be huge, for them. And she comes in and she provides a lot of firepower on that offense. And, you're talking about balanced play. Maya Smith, I don't remember seeing a lot of her, last year, and I'm not sure if maybe she was on the JV side or maybe she transferred in. I'm not sure, but she's been the last 2 matches that I've watched, the 2 matches I've watched this week. She's kind of stuck out for me as far as doing a good job here for this Bobcats team. Foda pops one in the air. Clark. And Clark grab a kill. And, she's a defensive savant, and, she gets her hits a lot of times. Those hits she gets, she hits them flat-footed. She's not the one to really leap up in the air. She's not really much of a leaper. But, that last game versus, match versus Bishop England, I mean, somehow, some way, she was around the ball and saving it from hitting the court. And a lot of rotation here tonight. And, what's, kind of unfamiliar territory from, watching, the Lady Sharks. And, you're starting to see a lot, more of the team. You're seeing Hersey in, and, Hersey and Kozak. And it's been a full rotation here tonight. Palmer was in for a little bit of extended time. You normally see Palmer and Harden, come into the game, even, going back to last season on that, state championship run. And so you're used to seeing them, but everybody's kind of got, into the match here tonight, just trying to find some things out. And we're going to timeout call, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to take a break for the Bluffton Bobcats. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, out of the timeout break. Aurora Rick on the serve there. Calzadia, and you want to talk about that power? I mentioned it a little moment ago before we went on the break, and she came in and was hitting like this on the freshman. And, man, that power that she has right there, powers that towards the back line, grabs a kill for this Lady Bobcats team. Much needed out of that timeout break. New substitution. Jones and Cox going to take a break for the Lady Bobcats. Folda on the serve. Low dig right there for Skirtich. Duncan from way outside gets that to stay in play. Calzadilla Vivas, another kill. And I'm trying to keep up with the camera here, but 2 in a row for Sam Calzadilla. And I think she was showing her where the ball landed at. I think she was calling it out. And a conversation here between the ref and the corner judges, line judges. And I'm not sure, was she maybe checking her phone? They asked her to put her phone down. She had her phone in her hand. And I'm not sure what happened there. And it's too far to go back. I think that replay that I have is from. And she's going to ask for captains and get them to explain. Well, excuse me, they're going to explain to them, like, her decision, what's going on. And they're just going to redo the point. And I think, is this the same point here? And she didn't really make a call. I think that's what it was, and that was the confusion. So 13-9, there goes Smith. Her hit into the net, and May River going to go up 14-9. Folda slides in, make that one. Calzadilla hits it over. Going underhand was Macy. Calzadilla sends another one and grabs another kill over the middle. And it seems like that's the plan right now for the Lady Bobcats offensively, is they're trying to get that ball into the hands of Sam Calzadilla. And falling asleep on the defensive side, the Lady Sharks, and they drop one right into the middle, a dump by Clark. Clark to the back line. That one ricochets off the arm, shaking her arms there, was low. Walsh, low on the dig. Nice tip over the net there, Kozak. And 2 touches on the Bobcats, 15-11. And, that's what's kind of had me slow tonight. I talked about how deep Coach Hedrick is going into her lineup right now. And I think every player has touched the court for the Lady Sharks. And, that's kind of what plagues the troubles there. A little bit slow on the names there. And, earlier in the match, I was kind of feeling good because, I had just covered Bluffton earlier in this week. I've covered May River plenty of times. And so, you know the girls, and it makes the announcing really easy because you can call their names and just focus on the game instead of constantly having to look, up the roster. But Coach Hedrick's going really, really deep into the lineups of the girls who don't normally get into the sets this much. They're it's kind of challenging my skills a little bit there. There's Duncan. Point to May River as that one was tipped. Duncan on the serve. Clark slides in on one knee to get the dig. Walsh over the net, and Skirtage can't come up for it. Cox on the serve. Skirtage going low. Aerial Rick to Aurora. Rick the block. Jones and Walsh. Cox on the serve. That one goes into the net. Skirtage on the serve. Jones tried to tip that one over. Francis Scotty a little bit faster on the hands there. Makes it 18-14. Emerson Skirtage on the serve there. Clark sets, goes to Walsh. Rick pops it up. And there's Jensen Skirtage to the corner right there, just up front. And that's what we want to talk about, directional hitting right there. And, just being aware, where everybody is on the court. That back corner found a hole, and everything doesn't have to be about power every single time. And she finds the spot right there and drops it down to the court. Clark, Smith, try to do the same thing. Rick to Rick, back to Rick, able to get it back over. Folder on the dig for the Bobcat. Jones on the hit for the Bobcats. There's Jensen Skirtage. Francis Scotty down to the court. And a timeout, Lady Bobcats. We'll take a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back here on Beaufort's own. Second timeout for the Lady Bobcats, 2014. Out of the timeout break, Skirtage on the serve. Duncan pops that one up, set it to the backside to the Jensen Skirtage there. Smith finds a hole in the defense, grabs a kill. In 2015, the Bobcats get the first point out of the timeout break, and that streak continues to roll. Whoever calls the timeout gets a point. So if this game ever gets close, it gets that close. If you need a point, call the timeout. Skirtage just taps that one over. Waddell to Folder. Clark, a little bit of hang time on that jump. Defense is there for the Sharks as Jensen Skirtage sends that back over. Clark goes underhand. Aurora Rick, aerial Rick, Jensen Skirtage. Gutierrez to Skirtage. Rick on the dump. Waddell is there. Smith gets hit number 2, but Folder can't follow. 21-15. Kozak on the serve. Folder the dig. Jones tries to hit to the back corner and going to be out. Lady Sharks move the lead to 7. Kozak serves another. That's Waddell in the middle to Jones. Duncan backside. Aurora Rick powers when the defense is there. Jones and Clark. Smith on the serve. Kozak, the threat to Scotty. That one ricochets off the block and in. Rick to Smith. Calzadia, serve a little bit too far. Aurora Rick, set point, 24. Looking for number 25. Clark tips that one over. Aurora Rick comes and saves that one. Duncan, backside. Bounces up a couple fingers. Smith, Calzadia on the hit there. Duncan floats one to the back corner. That's going to be out. Give the Lady Bobcats 18. Folder. That one's going to stay in play. And Mayriver grabs number 25. And they'll win the set. Ladies and gentlemen, they'll go up 2-1 here tonight. Set 4 on the way when we return. Best 3 out of 5. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Set number 4 getting ready to get underway. Mayriver with the lead 2-1. Calzadilla sends it back over the net for the return for the Lady Bobcats. Mayriver sends it back shortly. Walsh with the hit from the bottom of your screen there. Duncan floats one. There goes Smith. Clark. And no one there for the hit. Number 3. That one's going to go to the court. And point number 1 of this set going to the Lady Sharks as Ariel Rick going back to serve once more. Smith dig. Clark hits it back in. Walsh can't rally. Rick once again on another. And Ariel Rick, she can get rolling. I believe she probably has some of the highest rotational points as Walsh gets that one to fall over the net for the first points of the night of the set for the Lady Bobcats. Calzadilla on the serve. Rick the Duncan. Bobcats having to play defense close at the net. Clark finally gets it over. Ariel Rick the Sanogi, and Sanogi falls just short. Evens it up 2-2 here. Duncan sends it over to block up front there. Couldn't see the number. That's Mateo for the Bobcats. Duncan back over once again. Folded the dig. Clark cross court to Smith. And going to go out. So point for the Lady Bobcats. And they take the lead 3-2. They're going to say that was tipped. So points to the Bobcats. Maya Smith tries to fire one from the bottom of your screen. Calzadilla sends over another serve. They go to Sanogi in the middle. Do the Sharks only return. Walsh, top of your screen. Harden diving on the ground there for the dig. Duncan to Skirtage. Gets it over, folded. Clark, Calzadilla some power. Nice defense there by Skirtage. Duncan tries to send one back over, but airmail. And I think I missed the point. Bobcats actually have 6 here. And that serve by Calzadilla going to go into the net. Still a 2-point advantage. Bluffton 6, Mayriver 4. Duncan. Bobcats with the lead by 3. Cox on the serve. Can't rally to get back in time for the defensive play. 7-5. Bobcats still with the lead by 2. Skirted sends that one over the net. The defense is there. Nice save right there by Skirtage. Get the ball in play. Folda plays that one off the line. They go to Walsh at the top. Rick with the block to get it back over. There's Jones hitting it back for the Bobcats. Rick from the top. Jones once again on the defense. Francis Scotty falls to the court. The dump by Clark, trying to play it off the net and still in. Nice save there by the Sharks on the defense, but Smith back down to the court. In a greatly contested set there ends with the Lady Bobcats. Maya Smith grabbing the kill. Eight five. Outside to Rick. Powers one off the arms of Smith. And the defense wasn't in position as Rick, you see her gather to the outside and get ready. Folder down low on the dig. Smith sends one into the arms of Skirtage, pops that one in the air. From the back row goes Duncan, and her hit runs into the net. Bobcats sticking with the lead here by 3. Francis Scotty. Don't see that too often. And let's see a little bit of a call there. They're going to talk about it a little bit. I think it was back too far. I think that was right on the line there. See if we get it again, and they're going to give the point to the Bobcats there. That's going to be out. And so 10-6. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but as one of the fans is definitely upset here in the crowd for Ming River because she called it in. She thinks the corner judge called it in, and the ref, overruled it and said it was out, which the ref can overrule that, especially when the line judges, throughout the regular season are just, pretty much for the most part, just volunteers. Francis Scotty in the middle grabs a kill. Francis Scotty on the serve there into the arms of Smith. Calzadilla comes up fast and grabs the point right there. She just zooms up really fast there. And that's in slow-mo, so you can't really see it, but she got up there really quickly and sent that one to the court. She saw an opening there. Just came and slapped that one down. Clark on the serve. They choose to go to Sanogi, and Sanogi beams one down at Folder. Rick checking back in on the serve. Walsh on the hit. Duncan. The block is there. Mateo tries to keep it alive. No one else could rally in there to help her out. That's 10-12. Rick serves it to Smith in the middle. They go to Walsh, the block. Outside, Skirtage and Sanogi. Smith, the Clark, Calzadilla to the backside there. Skirtage pops it up, hard into Duncan. Walsh on the dig, Clark to Calzadilla, and Rick can't gather fast enough. And a change of call. And so it is going to be Bobcats point, which is what I thought they were in. I thought it was Bobcats point there, and I think the ref tried to say it was out, so it went to the Sharks. And so overruled, going to be in now. So still Bobcats point. They lead by 2, and a change of line judge here. Calzadilla on the serve. Also with the dig high into the rafters there. Smith tries to hit on the block. Sanogi and Skirtage have been doing a good job. Clark sends that towards the back. Skirtage pops it up. Sanogi made it seem like she was going hard with that one, and soft touch. And you see right there, she comes up and she powers up. Looks like she's going harder than just at the last second. Just a light touch right there. She sees the hole. 12-13. Lady Bobcats still with the lead by 1. Duncan on the serve, and Gutierrez hits that one accurately, ties it up here at 13. Sharks with the opportunity to take the lead here. Duncan, her serve wide to the left. Just outside of that line. Lady Bobcats still with the lead. Cox on the serve. Duncan the dig. They set outside to Rick. That one gonna go out, no touch. And 15-13. Cox on the serve. That one gonna be out. Set back within 1. Skirtage on the serve. Clark to Jones. Up front, Skirtage sends it back cross. Back row into the arms of Duncan. They go to Rick on the outside. Send some heat on that one. Jones is there on the block. Clark and crew can't get there. Ties it up. Skirtage on the serve once again. Clark over to Smith coming in underhand close to the net. Rick, the Skirtage there. Walsh sends one high and out, and the Sharks take the lead. Skirtage on the serve, and Gutierrez can't get it in. An ace for Skirtage. And her serve into the net brings the game back to a tie. The set back to within 1. Smith try to go on the outside, going to be out. The defense is there. Skirtage and Francis Scotty. And Skirtich tried to hit that one, and Bobcats take the lead, 18-17. We'll take a break. Timeout called by the Lady Sharks and Coach Hedrick. We'll take a break, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here on Beaufort Zone. As you see, Miss Maya Smith, the last one on to the court there, and would have been back from time break for a little bit, but she's was fighting a nosebleed there. She caught there for a second, so let's keep an eye on that. She might have to be out for an important set. Trying to work that close corner next to the ref stand there. And Rick going back and forth with Jones and Clark there, and she powers one and she gets the kill. 18-all. Apologize for my shoddy camera work there. Skirtich on the serve. In comes Folder. Waddell. Jones, the block up front. And maybe we're back with the lead. And that barely gets over for the Lady Bobcats. They go the opposite side. They go to Rick. And once again, Skirtich. And the Clark. Outside to Rick. And off the block, Jones and Clark. Smith set to serve. Skirtich pops it up. Rick from the opposite side there. Jones. Last chance attempt there. Calzadilla able to get it over there on her hit. Outside, they go to Rick and the block once again. Clark and Jones to tie it up. And man, that is a combination up front, regardless of who you use. As long as they're paired with Jones and they get up. Francis Scotty this time, and her kill hits the court. or the correct terminology there was her hit hits the court for a kill. Would be the, not her kill hits the court. What is wrong with me? Acting like I don't know volleyball. Rick on the serve. Jones sends it over. Rick played it from out of bounds there. Could have got a point there. Smith just keeping it alive. Clark over. They go to Francis Scotty to block. Jones once again. Nice hands. Jones keeps that one up. Quick one-hander there. Clark tips it over. Skirtage. Rick backside. Feeds it to Duncan. That duo is there again of Jones and Clark. And they can't keep it alive. And maybe Rick grabs 22. And we're going to get a timeout. Bluffton, ladies and gentlemen, their second one. And then we'll take a break. Their first one. And we'll take a break here on Beaufort's Own. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, after the timeout break. Rick on the serve. That one falls short. Defense can't get it over. And 23 on the board for the Lady Sharks. 2 more points for them to take the dub here. Rick on the serve. There's Walsh to Clark. Calzadilla fires. And that one going to be tipped. 21 on the board. Folder on the serve. Francis Scotty. And Francis Scotty looking for number 25. Waddell backside to Clark. Harden fingertips, and that's in. That's 22. Clark on the serve. Skirtage to Hersey. Back over Clark to Walsh. Miscommunication. That's 23. And the Sharks, you're trying to escape this one. You don't want to get into anybody's game with set number 5 there. So if you've got the opportunity, you're up by a couple of points, you want to win. You're still up by 2. So if they get 25, they can win this. Bobcats score 1 really quickly. We're going to 26. There's Duncan, the block. Back to Duncan. This time gets over the block. Folder, the dig. Clark, Walsh, back corner, Skirtage. They go inside. Sanogi off the fingertip. Smith to the ground. Clark, Calzadilla into the arms of Skirtage. Quick dump by the younger Jensen Skirtage. And there goes Calzadilla. Block. Diving on the ground as Hersey keeps it alive. Sanogi, safe play, just a touch there. There goes Walsh, and that's 24. And it's going to be a timeout. May River, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back. We got a set, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here on Beaufort Zone, sponsored by BCTV. Set number 4, going to 26 right now. Duncan sells it. And the Bobcats, the first to 25. One more to even it 2-2. Bobcats on the serve with Clark. There goes Duncan right back. Smith. Nice dig, keeps it up in the air. There goes Walsh. Tipped by Skirnish at 26. Bobcats win. And 2-2, ladies and gentlemen, set number 5 on the way when we return. Remember, set number 5 only goes to 15. We'll be back here on Beaufort Zone. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Set number 5, getting ready to get underway here. Amelia Clark on the serve there for the Lady Bobcats. Maybe we're able to return. Calzadilla on the hit. That's going to be out. Maybe we're going to get on the board first. Rick on the serve. Smith gets the dig. They go to Walsh, bottom of the screen. Nice hit. Trying to chase it. Last chance for May River. Able to keep it alive, keep it in play. Clark, this time they go to Calzadilla and misses the ball, and she's upset with herself on that one as May River goes up 2-0. Remember, set number 5 only going to 15. Still got to win by 2, though. And Rick on the serve, and she grabs the ace. Rick on the serve. Clark goes to Walsh. The block is there. Sonogi getting in there. And she's been a monster for them all night up front. And Sonogi and Skirtich was there, but Sonogi up front for them, and that's been the combination there. There's one for both sides. Sonogi for May River, and Rick's serve goes into the net. And the Lady Bobcats get their first points on the board, but Sonogi for May River and Jones on the defensive for the Bobcats here tonight. Pop that one in the air. Rick gets that one to go over underhand, a little bit over her head. They go to Calzadilla from the back row towards the back corner, kept alive there. Duncan tips that one over, and 5-1 goes May River. Substitution, Mateo out, Cox in. Cox and Gutierrez in. Calzadilla going to take a break as well. There's Walsh from the top of your screen, and that's going to be over the line. And May River with a dominant lead here and set number 5. They're up 6-1. Here we go. Duncan on the serve. Bluffton struggled to get it over. Able to. Rick hits that one off balance. Clark sets that one behind her. Cox just sends that one over with 2 hands. Rick behind her goes to Skirtich, popped up by Gutierrez. 1 hand by Foda. Smith keeps it alive. Nice defense. There goes Rick. Powers one to the court. Foda on the court once again. Clark tries to go for the dump there. Back to Rick, and that time gonna be out. 6-2. Here at set number 5. Cox on the serve. Rick to Skirtich. Nice dig by Cox. Clark. And the dump, once again, Rick tried to sneak that one in. There goes Walsh to the back corner. Nice one by Skirtich. One-hander and going to be out as Rick tried to save it. 6-3. Winner takes all here, ladies and gentlemen. Best 3 out of 5. All tied up, 2-2. Rick inside to Sonogi. Well defended. Jones up front. Smith tries to power one. The block is there. They go to Rick, May River. Rick has hit that one underhand, too close to the net. Walsh 2 hands that one for the hit. Duncan over to Skirtich back again. The block is there, but lands on the Bluffton side. May River grabs 7. 7-3. And that's going to be an ace off the arms of Gutierrez for Skirtich. And a timeout, Lady Bobcats. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break, and we'll be right back here on Beaufort's Own. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. After the timeout break, Skirtich on the serve and grabs 2 aces in a row. 9-3 goes May River. Up by 6. Remember, only going to 15. Skirtich sends another. That time, Gutierrez gets under it. Clark to Walsh. Gets it over the net. Duncan gets the dig. They go outside to Skirtich. Nice dive and dig there by Gutierrez. Jeanette Jones gets the hit. There goes Rick, and once again, Folda. The defense is there, but that lands on their side of the court as that one's close to the net. And some action here. The Fire coming on May River up 10-3. Skirtich. Serve off the fingertips of Gutierrez. And man, you want to talk about being on a roll here in set 5, 11-3, the largest lead by any team tonight, if I'm not mistaken, is 8. And maybe we're pulling out all the stops here in set number 5. Skirtich on a roll. Smith on the dig. Clark gets it over to Walsh. Skirtich on the dig for the Sharks. There goes Duncan. Her hit goes into the arms of Folda. Goes Clark over, back to Walsh. Rick to Duncan. Skirtich in the middle of the defense. And 12-3. And it's all May River here in set number 5 as they're trying to bring this one home. Skirtich once again on the serve. Smith barely gets that one over, just a little bit of tap. Rick to Francis Scotty. 13-3. And ladies and gentlemen, May River is serving up a smoke show here in the Bobcats' den for set number 5. Skirtich on another. Folda keeps it up. Clark over to Walsh and a little bit of tip. Rick, last chance of tip, still alive. Oh my. Clark over. Walsh on the hit. Rick over to Skirtich. Jones pops that one up. Clark pushes it back over. Skirtich, low hands. Rick up. There goes Jensen Skirtich. And the defense can't rally. And 14-3. An 11-point advantage for the Lady Sharks going to 15. Aggie. And that serve going to be too far. And Bluffton gets their first points in a while, 14-4. And May River put their foot on the pedal. And here comes Waddell on the serve. Duncan, dig, outside, Rick, power, and that's going to be 15. And that's going to be the match, ladies and gentlemen. May River wins it 3-2 in set number 5. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here on Beaufort's Own. My name is Javon Livingston. Coverage tonight sponsored by BCTV. And don't forget to check out our YouTube page for post-game highlights and more here on Beaufort's Own. I want to thank everybody for tuning in once again and have a great night.